All right, look, let me be clear. I'm gonna be very clear. Ethereum is broken. It really is. And I'm not the only person that agrees with this. Now, I'm a practitioner. I read a lot, of course, but I actually practice what I preach. And I'm telling you guys from proprietary experience that I'm pretty sure a lot of people do not get, because I'm in cryptocurrency pretty much full time and I've been doing it for a long time. So I've been trading on decentralized exchanges for years before Uniswap was a thing. Believe it or not, decentralized applications were first popular on Tron. I was trading on decentralized exchanges and using these like MetaMask replicas and stuff like that for years, okay? For a very long time before it was even a thing, okay? Before Uniswap even blew up, all right? I was trading on Uniswap when Hex was one of the biggest tokens, all right? This is how early I've been doing this. Now, the point I'm trying to make here is that there's this kind of consequence of trading on Ethereum, this hidden tax that I've known for a while. And recently there hasn't been a real deal solution for it. So in this video, we're going to be talking about a term called minor extractable value. Now it's probably going to be called maximal extractable value, because it's going to be an occurring problem that happens with proof of work blockchains, proof of stake blockchains. It's going to happen on pretty much every blockchain. And it is a massive problem that you should be aware of when you're trading cryptocurrency. Keep watching. What's going on, everybody? Alex back with another video, and I pull up this quote here: beware of false knowledge. It is more dangerous than ignorance. Now, there's nothing worse than bad information, except for actually acting on that bad information with your time and money. That's where it becomes a problem. So I want to explain kind of the thought process behind this, and you can apply it to other areas of your life. And I like doing this because if you could apply it to other areas in your life, then it probably holds true in this current situation in trading in cryptocurrency. And it's just kind of like working through these problems mentally, right? And having like legitimate common sense and looking at it from a logical perspective usually gets you to the right answer. And this is my way of thinking with thesis investing in cryptocurrency. And this is how I've been able to, of course, make the right decisions for my future. Very simple. There's a lot of ways you can explain this. But before we get involved with this video, please do us a favor, subscribe to the channel, like the video, and share it with a friend. I talk about cryptocurrency entrepreneurship. I like to make money in crypto, and I dive into the deepest topics in this cryptocurrency space. I'm pretty sure I can run laps around most of these cryptocurrency users because they're here to entertain and they're here to reach mass audience. My goal here is to be the most accurate trader in the YouTube scene, and I'm willing to do whatever it takes. Okay, I created my strategy from scratch. I haven't really copied anyone. I believe we have the best fundamental analysis in the entire cryptocurrency space, and I'm willing to say that to anybody. And then I share this information with you guys. That's my goal with this channel. So subscribe to the channel. Also share it with a friend for sure. Someone that's been losing money in crypto. You shouldn't be losing money right now, guys. We're going back to all-time high. We could break to the upside, but the point I'm trying to make here is I want to talk about the consequence of not really thinking through your decisions, okay? So there's this concept called second order thinking. There's so many different ways to explain it. There's kind of like second order consequences, third order consequences. And I'm going to run through the consequence of you making a bad or, a good trade in crypto, and not just the direct obvious consequences, but also the second, third order, and then kind of this hidden consequence that nobody knows about. Like literally nobody talks about it. I've known about it for a while, but I didn't think it was that big of a deal. And I just recently got some information that made me really hit home on this, idea that we're going to be talking about, of course. But let me explain my thought process, because this is important for you guys to change as humans and actually grow and win in the future. Okay, so let's say hypothetically you want to buy a TV for your living room. Okay, you want to spend $3,000 on a TV. So you're thinking of the pros and cons, the good outcomes and the bad outcomes, right? And the good outcomes are obvious. You're getting entertainment. That's the point of a TV. You want entertainment. You want to entertain people that come to your house. You want to be normal. Everyone mostly has a TV. And I want to be clear with you guys. I'm doing this for example purposes. I have a beautiful TV in my living room with a full surround sound system, just to be clear. But you're only usually going to think about the first order consequences. This is what a normal person that doesn't really think through, that doesn't hyper focus on their decision-making process, which I highly recommend everyone to do, not only for money, but for their life, right? They only think, okay, I have to spend $3,000 on this TV. That's the first order consequence of that decision. You spending the money and having to come up with the money for it. That's it. That's the depth most of the robots in society nowadays think of. First order consequences. I have to spend money on this TV and I'm going to lose money that otherwise could be used for something else. That's the first order. Now, the second order consequence could be, and this is just obviously hypothetical, everybody's different, but now you have to spend time on this TV because if you spend $3,000 on a TV, you have to spend time on it or you're going to feel bad about it, right? You just wasted your money. You're going to feel like you wasted your money if you don't use the TV. So this is a second order consequence of you buying a TV is that you actually have to use it. And now it's going to take up energy in your life. It's going to take up the most finite resource you have in your name, which is time. They say Bitcoin's finite. Time is more finite, okay? You will die guaranteed one day. Bitcoin can be exploited for more BTC. But there's one thing guaranteed is that you will die. So you're exploiting in this second order consequence your time. Now, let's think a little bit deeper, and you can even get this like 50 levels deep. You ever heard of the butterfly effect? You can look it up for yourself, but there's like basically an amplification of consequences that happen when you make a decision or anything in life, any mechanism in life. It's much deeper than you think, always. Always. Okay. So the third order consequence in this situation is now I have to buy a surround sound system so that I can have good audio. You could even take this a step further and it's like, oh, now I got to, get a good couch if I don't have a couch. And of course I got to get a coffee table and then I got to make it look good. And we can go forever, right? And maybe you don't want to go that far because you're not an interior designer, but there's one thing I can say for a fact is that in every decision you make, there's hidden consequences that you do not know about, okay? And when you make these decisions, especially the big ones, you want to really think it through. And this is the same thing with cryptocurrency. And we could even take this further. Look, first order, second order consequences, third, fourth, and keep going. And this kind of explains their representation of James ignoring emails and then leading to these like ultimatums that if he doesn't address this problem, could happen, right? So the point here is you really want to make really accurate decisions and you want to think through your process. And today we're going to be thinking through the process of a cryptocurrency trade on Ethereum as a decentralized trader. I am a decentralized trader. Okay, so let's think about the thought process of someone that uses, these liquidity aggregators. Okay, first one, am I going to make money with a trade? This is the first order consequence that everybody thinks about when they buy a new asset, right? If so, execute trade. If I don't think so, don't execute trade. Now, this is probably the biggest decision, of course, because you have to analyze it with fundamental analysis, technical analysis, sentiment analysis, and all of the strategies I use. And I teach and preach on this channel, and we can dive super deep into this, right? Qualitative and quantitative elements of making a decision, right? And, again, I have videos on this, so you guys can watch it for yourself. But there's other consequences to making a trade, especially on Ethereum and especially with decentralized exchanges, right? What are the consequences? The second one is probably something like transaction fees. As you can see here, this is my public address. As of today's date, I've spent $35,783, and it's pronounced on Ethereum because that's a lot of money in transaction fees. Ethereum is inefficient in this way, and it costs a lot to transact in a decentralized manner. So this will be considered when I say, oh, am I going to make money? The second order consequence is how much am I going to spend in transaction fees, right? Now, let's think about the third order consequence, okay? And maybe you can swap the second or third. Like, it doesn't matter like what number consequence it is. I'm just explaining to you basically the pros and cons of making a decision and the thought process you have to go through when you're making a trade. Opportunity cost. I made a whole video on opportunity cost, right? You guys can go look at my channel, find it for yourself. And I explained the opportunity costs of not being involved with crypto, as well as the opportunity cost of not outcompeting Bitcoin and Ethereum. You know that when I make a trade, it's very simple. My goal is to outcompete Bitcoin and Ethereum. Otherwise, my time would have been allocated better doing something completely different and just holding Bitcoin and Ethereum. So this is kind of like the third order consequence I take in consideration when I'm making a trade. Is it going to outcompete Bitcoin and Ethereum? Okay, now I can take that more aggressive and say, oh, is it going to outcompete the top 10 coins, right? I could say that. But, for me, the standard right now is definitely Ethereum. That's like the best standard because Ethereum's giving better percentage than Bitcoin, okay? So Let's go through it one more time and don't get lost because I'm going to explain this other order of consequence that just recently, it's not recent, it's been out for a while, but I'm taking more of an aggressive approach at fixing it. So again, first order consequence, are you going to make money on this trade? Second order consequence, how much money are you going to spend on transaction fee? Third order consequence is, the opportunity cost of you holding a different asset. What is the fourth order of consequence? Well, this is something called minor extractable value. And this is what the video is going to be about. So minor extractable value is a measure of the profit a miner can make through their ability to arbitrarily include, exclude, or reorder transactions within the block that they produce. Now that's a lot, okay? I'm gonna explain it to you like a baby. Don't get discouraged, okay? You're gonna understand what this means on a deep level towards the end of this video. And at the end of this video, I'm gonna give you an actionable step that you can use yourself 100% free to make trades and not get caught by this fourth order consequence that we're talking about here. Minor extractable value, in simple terms, is a way to extract value from a transaction that has something else. They call it, the first term was called minor extractable value. Now they're switching the term to maximal extractable value for this reason, and I'll explain, you'll get it. So first, before I can explain this concept, we have to understand what a blockchain does, right? So if you don't understand what blockchain does, you guys are not gonna watch this video. So I have to explain this to the people that don't, okay? So it's very simple. When Ethereum, this is right here, blocks, and hopefully you understand how mining works, but if you don't, very simple put, there's kind of like this lottery system that runs automatically, and you use your computer power to contribute power to the security of the network. And this lottery system picks a random mining pool, and the person that wins this lottery gets Ethereum, right? With the automatic inflation mechanism that is on Ethereum, that basically it has a built-in inflation that pays out miners for securing the network. Okay, same thing with Bitcoin. It's called proof of work consensus mechanism. Okay, so here's blocks, and they happen every so often. You see there's a block here 55 seconds ago. There's one 57 seconds ago. There's one minute ago. And these blocks give out this ETH, as you can see right here, block reward. So miners have an incentive, and this is a whole system. Right now, the current system of the world is kind of like a negative consequence, like reality. So for example, if you kill someone, they're going to put you in jail. Okay, so when they made cryptocurrency, they kind of flipped the script. They're basically incentivizing actors to do positive things. And if they do positive things, then they get rewarded. That's how the whole incentive mechanism and the security. So like if we were in like United States philosophy of Ethereum, it would be something like, hey, if you're a miner, and this is actually what's happening in Ethereum 2.0 with slashing, and I don't agree with it. But if they're saying if you're a miner and you act maliciously against Ethereum, we're gonna slash you, or we're gonna like disincentivize you, right? We're gonna punish you. That's how the current thought is. But with proof of work, right now, they try to revert it and they try to make it so, hey, instead of doing something negative, we'll just reward you if you do something positive. That's currently what happens right now with the mining mechanism. Okay, so what the miners do is they're confirming blocks. So let's say I'm a user and I'm putting a transaction of $1 amount right here, and we have 3 other users, user 2, 3, and 4, putting in a transaction as well. When they send this, through MetaMask in a decentralized exchange, they literally press send, they do whatever they want, either it's a trade, whatever, right? It doesn't really matter what it is. It's a transaction on Ethereum, right? Very simply put. This has to go into a block. The block is then verified by the miner, okay? Now there's a lag, right? So you don't immediately go into the block, right? So there's kind of like a lottery right now that happens on Ethereum to where the miner can kind of pick, okay, who paid the most? It's like an auction system. Like who's paying the most to be included in this block? I want to pick them. And this is what's called the mempool. Okay, the mempool stores all the pending transactions that people are making across the blockchain. All of these pending transactions, right, are being stored in the mempool before a miner actually accepts it, because he wants to pick the highest profitable transaction so they can make the most money for winning the block reward, right? So it's kind of like an auction system right now. And then we can go into EIP 1559 and get really deep, but I'm trying to explain it on a very simple level, right? So everybody understands. Basically, this is kind of like looking into the future, because this is the future transaction that could potentially happen, and the time would be the blocks. Right? When a block gets confirmed on the blockchain, this is kind of like time right now. Like this is like the history of all the transactions. It's on this public ledger, right? So I'm just trying to attack it from different explanation methods so you guys can really like Remember this forever, right? So mempool, when you submit a transaction, it says pending, right? Up here, when you put the transaction, it says pending. It's in the memory pool, and then a miner is like, okay, I'm gonna pick the ones I want. It's kind of like, think about them going to the grocery store and kind of picking out whatever like they want that suits their taste, and then they confirm the block, and then it gets minted, or not minted, but it gets kind of like set in stone on the public Ethereum blockchain. That's what happens right now. So this has led to a thing called, the concept we're going to talk about, which is miner extractable value. Now they're trying to switch the term to maximal extractable value. So the point here is that we have these bots that watch this pool. So like if I could draw in here, I would put like maybe a bot right here that is watching all of these transactions, okay? In some cases taking advantage, in some cases helping people. It just depends on what type of bot that is, right? In all situations, there's negatives and positives. There are people that are doing positive things, and I'm going to push you to the positive side of this, okay? But there are people that will take advantage of people, and there's common attack vectors where the miner gets their reward, like we always talk about, but there's an arbitrage that happens in the mempool to where maybe a trader like me would get taken advantage of, and I would get a less favorable price on a coin I'm trying to buy, and then this value difference will be given to the bot. Okay, let's try to explain that one more time. So basically, a bot looks at the mempool of transactions. Basically, they take advantage of the user. The miner gets their reward, and this is where miner extractable value or maximal extractable value. There is a value mechanism in this mempool for people to watch. There's an incentivization model for people like bots that know blockchain way deeper than we do, that are watching this consistently to look for opportunities to extract value. That's basically what's happening. And it's this deep world that most people don't understand. And this is what I'm talking about, fourth order consequence. And if we come over here, I put my public address into Nansen. That gives you kind of like a breakdown of what's going on for sandwich attacks, which is the most common attack vector. There's different attack vectors for these bots, but sandwich attacks are the most popular, and they're the most malicious in my personal opinion. And you can see that right here, look, they extracted 0.2477 wrapped ETH from me from a transaction. I just made very simple, ignorant transaction on Uniswap, just buying something because I think it's going to go up, right? I think this is going to make me money, so I'm going to buy it. And then somebody just extracted value from my transaction through something called sandwich attack. So let's explain what a sandwich attack is. I'm going to pull up Uniswap right here, and I'll show you what I'm talking about. So basically, if you understand how automated market makers work, and maybe you don't, and that's just a topic for another video. It'd be way too long to explain this. But it doesn't really work in real time because of this latency of the mempool, right? Like blocks take a little bit to get confirmed. There's a lag between a transaction going in and a block. Now, if you do this on a centralized exchange, there is no lag. It's an order book model, right? So with an order book model, there's less latency is the point, okay? And with automated market makers, there is this lagging period where multiple transactions have to go through. So what we do sometimes, especially if you're buying like a really low market cap coin, is you're going to pick this low market cap coin, let's say Akita Inu, and let's say I select USDC. I want to buy some Akita Inu. So I'm going to swap this. So I'm going to put, let's say $100 into Akita Inu. Obviously I wouldn't put $100 because, the transaction fee is going to probably be like $100. Let's pick a smaller coin so you guys can actually see it in real time. Maybe it might happen here. No, they don't have that much price impact. Basically, the point here, I won't do it now, but I'm pretty sure a lot of you have witnessed this. If you pick a really low market cap and volatile coin, the time from me putting the transaction in and it actually being confirmed on a block, it could move dramatically in a couple of seconds, like 30, 45 seconds. The price can pop up 15%. So a lot of times, like when you press swap, it won't let you do it, especially if the coin is really small. And the way you get around this, and I've said this before on my channel in previous videos, the way you get around it is by you increasing your slippage. Now, my slippage is at 3%. That's actually pretty high. Usually, you want 0.0 or 0.5% is normal. But the point here is what I'm saying when I do this. When I put this in here, I'm saying, hey, I want to buy Elon at this price. And it's going to give you about $97 worth of Elon. See that the price impact is negative 2.53. What I'm saying is when I switch this, and let's say I put it 10%, It even says it right here, your transaction may be front run. But if I put it 10%, that means I'm agreeing that in this transaction, when I submit it, the price can increase or decrease 10%. And, I'll still accept the buy. So if I put $100 in, it could decrease 10% and I only get $90 worth of value of Elon. And what these bots are doing is this is just one attack vector. And this is the most simple attack vector, or not simple, but the most common is in this mempool. These bots are literally looking at the mempool for people that put high slippage. Like me, and I've done this before because I want to get these low market cap coins, and I want to make money because they're, not a lot of people are buying them. There's not a lot of liquidity pools for them. Sometimes you do have to increase the slippage to put the transaction in to buy it. And what they'll do is, let's say hypothetically, the price never moves, but you still have kind of like this parameter of 10% loss that's acceptable with your transaction. They'll look at my transaction. They'll literally look at my transaction in the mempool in the blockchain and say, hey, Alex is okay with taking a 10% loss. Let's buy the coin in front of them, move the price of the asset up 10% on purpose to where Alex gets 10% less than what he should, and then immediately dump it right after and take advantage and arbitrage Alex's transaction because his slippage tolerance is at 10%. People do that, right? And this is where we're getting really deep because let me just kind of, before we move on, let me take off because as you can imagine, I don't want 10% slippage. So let's just put this back to 0.5% so I don't forget for later. And I'm going to exit that out. But the point here is that they're consistently looking for people that don't know what they're doing. And they're taking advantage with this slippage tolerance or the high slippage tolerance with something called a sandwich attack. And there's so many different, attack vectors. So the point here is you got to protect yourself because if you look over here at MEV Explorer, you can see that in the last 30 days, $11.6 million were extracted from not just unknown decentralized traders. There's a lot of different, areas. There's people attacking in a positive way that will do the exact opposite of a sandwich attack so that they can attack the sandwich attacker. So there's like bots attacking bots trying to help users. And the reason why they're trying to help users is for the long-term sustainability of the whole entire network. They want users to continue to transact and not get losses randomly so that, the user base can, continue and that there's more MEV. They call it MEV because this is value that is basically extracted from the Ethereum blockchain, and it could be in a positive or negative light. People typically look at sandwich attacks as negative, and then there's other attacks against malicious actors that can be extracted. Like there's been times where there was a massive sandwich attack on a user, and then another bot would come and kind of rescue, or they would bait sandwich attackers. They'll put out bait on purpose. They'll put a transaction in the mempool that would be bait, and the sandwich attacker would take that bait, and they would be basically attacked and drained of Ethereum, right? And I'm not an expert in this at all, but let's go through one transaction. I won't go through two transactions. These are like the biggest transactions in the recent history, and it's kind of crazy what goes on here. So I'm going to run through this really quickly. It's not going to be like an extreme breakdown, but as you can see here, this person basically took 296 ETH. You can see right here. And on this transaction, the Ether price was 3,791. So this is equivalent to about $1.1 million right here. So this person took $1.1 million and they basically front run someone, I believe, somebody that was buying FODL, right? So they went into this pool, right? And they swapped it for Wrap Ether. Then they swapped that for USDC. And look how much USDC they came out with. So let's just go through it really quickly. You see it right here, 296 for this transaction here, which is, what is this? 31 million of the token. They get 31 million of the token, right? This is the token here. And then they take the same token and they sell it for USDC. And look how much USDC they got back, right? Now, the same USDC, this is all in one transaction. The same USDC, they sent it back into Ether with Uniswap version 2, and look how much Ether they got back. So if you look at the transaction, they went in with 296 Ether, and it came out with 837 Ether. So you could see people are making millions of dollars, and you see something very similar here. You could see they went in with about $218,000, and they left the transaction. This is all in one transaction with $3 million. So this person, in literally less than a couple of minutes, is like what? Like almost 30xing their money or something. And this value is being usually taken away from a user or a bot or somebody that's making a transaction. Somebody that's making a transaction is being exploited to get this value, right? it's a big problem, right? So I just want to instead of scaring you guys, and I'm gonna be making more videos on this to update my audience, and because I'm getting better with understanding MEV and understanding this mempool, because it does require developer knowledge, and I'm learning, of course, the developer aspect of cryptocurrency. But the point I'm trying to make here is that I'm going to give you guys actionable steps to revert this. So the answer, kinda, and this is maybe not the long-term answer, but typically where the experts in MEV are going, is to having kind of a private system where you directly communicate with the miner to include the transaction in a private way, basically. So this is where insert Flashbots comes into play. Flashbots was made to help people like us against malicious actors. And it's very simple. Basically, it's a direct communication with, and there is, of course, like, you have to believe in this. You have to look at, Flashbots history, and to see if they're not, if they're helping or they're against us. There is some form of trust. This is not a decentralized network. The people that are creating this are ultimately trying to better the user experience so that there is more long-term MEV. And we don't go into a world where, malicious actors are working directly with the miners and just consistently taking advantage of users with transactions. So what they're doing is they're trying to make it, basically decentralize it and attack it from a different way to benefit users. So ultimately, there's more MEV in the long run, right? Because there are some actionable attacks that you can do on MEV that positively benefit everybody, right? So it's very interesting. It's kind of like the good and the bad going back and forth in this bot world, this MEV world. But they offer a free solution for someone to basically put in their own transaction the same way you would now. So there's no user experience. It does not make it harder. And I'm going to do it. I haven't done it on this computer. I'm going to do it right in front of your face. But it is very simple. All you do is you put these right here into your MetaMask. So I'm just going to really quickly do that. I'm going to pull this over here. Let's make this a little bit smaller so that we can see both screens. And then I'm going to pop this open here. So you see both screens. I'm going to pull up my MetaMask right here. And all you have to do this is type these things in. It's very simple. You come over to Ethereum mainnet, custom RPC. And all you have to do is type in what they have right here, which is, I'm not going to type it. I want to copy it. So custom RPC, add this address right here. Very, very simple, guys. Very simple. You just type this in, Flashbots RPC. And all this is doing, again, is you're submitting a transaction to their proxy. And you can look in their Discord, and you can look at the history of how they've helped people. And once you start seeing them not helping people, then you can not submit transactions to their proxy if you want. But that's the point, right? Is that, like, they've been helping people and, saving people from these malicious acts, right? So they have, like, this credibility that they have to upkeep, or nobody will use their product. So you could use it or not use it is the point I'm trying to make. But it's just like a regular Ethereum transaction. I just added it, right? All right, so if you come over to Uniswap, we can kind of walk you through a private transaction with Flashbots to help you from this MEV transaction or fourth order consequence that could happen to your trading. So I'm just going to make the screen a little bit bigger to make it easier on the eyes, and then we can go through the blockchain on my transaction. If I open up MetaMask, you see right here, Flashbots RPC is currently there. If you go to my assets, I'm just going to send, or we're not going to send, we're actually going to trade. So I'm going to go to Launch App. And what I want to do is trade ETH for USDC just to make this easy. We could do the other way around. We'll do USDC to ETH. So let's say hypothetically I want to do $100. I'm going to trade it for ETH, which is a simple, transaction anybody would do. But remember, if we come over here, I'm going to just connect. We're basically on account one. Actually, I don't have a USDC balance on account one. Let's switch this over to my main on this computer, and right here you see I have enough and you could trade USDC. But notice at the top again, we're on Flashbots RPC, which is the proxy right here. Look, and you have the Ethereum mainnet that most people use. Obviously you have other decentralized applications and interoperable blockchains, but the Flashbots RPC is what you want to use once you import it and save it into this list that we just did. And then you want to click swap. So I'm gonna click swap, confirm swap like you would normally do. Everything's the same. You pay your gas fee. I'm over here dropping $100 to educate you guys. Literally $81 gas fee for no reason because that's not my trade, but it's okay. This is the burden I take as a, as an educator. And I'm gonna let that go through. It's gonna be pending. Look, it's going in the mempool. The miners are like, should I get this transaction to go through or not? Am I gonna include it in my block? Blah blah blah. We're going through the mempool. We're actually going through the custom RPC, which is a private mempool that they use. It's basically they're communicating directly with the miner to make sure that the transaction goes through. So let's click View Explorer. Bada bing. This is my original transaction. You can see that I'm going through version 3. So if I come over here to MetaMask, all I'm going to do is go to, this is the assets, this is the activity. I'm going to click multi-call. This is like literally just what happened. This is the transaction I just submitted. And I'm going to click right here, view on Etherscan. If I go to Etherscan, you can see at the top, we have Flashbots, private transaction, and it's automatically basically included into the block. I get my exact price that I asked for. I paid my transaction fee, and they could not front run me for any reason. So this is going to protect you again from this fourth order consequence that most people don't even think about. I mean, I'm pretty sure, people on YouTube are definitely not talking about this concept or giving you guys any applicable action that you can take to protect yourself from MEV. And this is why I tell you guys, we are the highest quality cryptocurrency channel on the internet. Again, if you appreciate that, consider liking the video and leaving a comment for the YouTube algorithm. That's it for this video. If you like the quality of this content, hit like. If you don't, leave some constructive criticism, subscribe for more video updates. And like I always say, if you don't get with it, you will get left behind. Guys, use private transactions if you're a decentralized trader. Don't get taken advantage of like I did. I lost about 2.24K, like literally $2,000 for my ignorance. And I don't want you guys to fall into the same category. That's it for this video, guys. Catch you in the next one.